yeah, you know. And then I decided, well, the opportunity came up for me to go on a rugby tour to South Africa, which, as an opportunity to go to South Africa, I'm not going to turn it down. So, I went, and yeah, so I had a great time in South Africa. I went on safari, did all of that, and then when we flew to Cape Town, we played a team called DF Milan, and we kicked the ball up the pitch, and I was sort of eager to impress the coach, so I went in and tried to make a big hit, and as I did, I dove in, and I think it's hard to really say what actually happens. It all happened quite quickly. So I dove in. I think he sidestepped and dislocated my spinal column, severing the spinal cord. C4, C5, in between those vertebrae. So I was, lying on my side, just not 100% sure of what had happened. I knew that I couldn't feel majority of my body, which was a weird sensation. Or to put it lightly.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 20 minutes flirting with the paramedics and the ambulance to the hospital. I got told off for swearing by my coach as well, which is pretty outrageous.
I think you had all the
no, exactly.
The world, yeah. If you're going to
I
swear,
apologise. Yeah, I apologise. And then I spent the next 12 or so hours in the surgery room getting various bolts and stuff put on my neck. So I've got a scar just there, and then one around the back.
We can compare scars.
Yes.
It's the mark of victory.
Twinsies. So that was fun. And then I woke up and spent the next 37 days in a South African hospital, which weirdly enough, guess what my squad number was? 37. 37, and I spent 37 days in a South African hospital before I flew home.
It's
spooky.
Yeah.
And I was playing outside centre, number 13.
It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. And I saw a black cat before. No. So I was put on a ventilator, so I've also got a tracheotomy scar. Which just to support my lungs because they weren't particularly strong. I went through various stages where my lung collapsed, various pseudomonas, pneumonia, all of that stuff, and I contracted tuberculosis.
Just for good measure.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're going to break your neck, do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
No half measures. I came back home to England. Was in Addenbrooke's Hospital for a bit, and I sort of deteriorated a bit in Addenbrooke's just because the tuberculosis was sort of not really getting worse, but not just various lung issues were holding me back. So I lost quite a lot, particularly there. So around I think I was 50 kgs or so. So
wow.
quite slim, and I'm 6'2", so
that's next to nothing then.
Just so. But I was put on these. I can't remember what they're called. They were just little smoothies meant to give loads of calories. But
I remember those.
They were just awful.
Discussing things like you can have this bad flavour or this bad flavour. What do you want?
Exactly. And then I moved to the Sheffield Spinal Unit for eight months, maybe October through till May. In which time I came off the ventilator, began to go to physio more frequently, occupational therapy, all of that stuff, and I really started to become better. And yeah, so I retook one of my AS level exams in hospital. Yeah, and I did all that. And then I came out and then finished my final year of university school. So yeah, I came back to my old school and did year 13 of that. Did my A-levels, managed to get 3 Bs, and then I was given the opportunity to go to university in Birmingham, where I decided to study philosophy. And then yeah, so I did that for a bit, but I'd always been I kept on getting drawn back towards drama. So I did various plays at the guilds, the student guild. Then I also decided that I'd join a screen acting course in Birmingham, and so I built up sort of like a collection of clips to send over to this agency for disabilities called Visable, and they accepted me, and then they put me forward for various things. I had a few auditions. The first being for Casualty.
As the Doctor, or
well, strangely enough, but, I think it was I think the role was for a paraplegic with a maggot-infested pressure sore.
Wow. So they did that. So they did their research well with the paraplegic part.
Exactly. They're always bloody getting maggots.
Can we? I just want to go back a bit on that one.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I buzzed through quite a bit.
Yeah, no, that's great. We get more onto that stuff at the moment. So those you, but I just wanted to go back about the time like you were in hospital and coming out of that, and I wanted to know about how your thoughts and feelings for that through that time as well. Obviously, it's a big change in your life. You go from a rugby player, probably a rugby lad, if you.
I wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. But yeah, so you're obviously a rugby player, because when I had my accident, I had finished school, I had sort of started my life in such, I was trying to be a professional swimmer, but I didn't have the experience of going back into education afterwards. So how was it in terms of your thoughts and feelings when you went back to school? Obviously, I don't know your timeline with it, but were you in the same school year with the people you were in before? Or was it the younger ones?
Yeah. So I was in. So I was. It was the summer between year 12 and year 13 that I went on the rugby tour. So I had my injury, and then my time in hospital, my gap year, so to speak, was what was effectively my year 13. So all the people in my year left by the time I was out of hospital. So I went down when I came out. I went down to the year below, which was nice because I actually have a younger brother who is in the year below me at school anyway. So that was actually really beneficial, just because I had quite a decent rapport with his friends, and so that was all great actually. But I mean, just coming out of hospital in general it's very weird just in terms of everything. So I remember coming out of hospital and just driving back home, and then looking out the window and just looking at all the cars going past, and then it was I was sort of taken aback by the speed of life and how it hadn't slowed down for me.
Yeah, it's weird with in terms of being in spinal unit, you're in this bubble, aren't you? And all your focus is on there. There's nothing going on in the outside world really, and even watching TV and that you feel disconnected, and you're in this area where you're just focused on getting better every day. You're focused on doing your rehab, physio, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then when you come out into the real world, you're, oh yeah, there is life going on out
Yeah,
here.
I think I sort of like a few of those thoughts had actually occurred to me a bit early, but it was mainly through things like watching Grand Designs and Homes Under the Hammer. It was sort of just like the dates of, we sent this couple around in July 20, and I was sort of just thinking, it's like, oh yeah, that was when I had my injury, and that is so other people are doing stuff, they haven't all stopped because little old me's hurt his neck. But it's an odd thing. It takes some getting used to, sort of the pace of life. I mean, even I find that even like the nature of being in hospital and sort of the heating, it feels like a different time of heat. When you're in hospital.
I get that.
So I spent a lot of time in the first period of time when I was out of hospital just being like absolutely freezing. I don't know what it was.
I think in hospital it has like constant temperature. Like it's exactly this the whole time. I mean, when you come out into the real world, it's like it's sometimes colder, it's sometimes hotter. It's just like you go, oh, my body doesn't know what to do.
No, no, exactly. It's it's odd. It's odd for a number of reasons coming out of hospital. But yeah, I think that I think just coming out and then I mean, it's weird just understanding it's going to sound pretty depressing, but sort of like no one's stopped for you. I mean, obviously your family and friends have all, they've all, their life's been like changed forever, like through you. But in the grand scheme of things, on a macro scale, life hasn't stopped. And so it's sort of up to you to push on, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a weird transition, and I know that when I came out of hospital myself, that was when the real learning started to happen. It wasn't in hospital because you're in such a safe environment. It's when you're outside and it's like, this is the real world. Now I've got to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for me, because I'm not really sure about what sort of health complications you had during hospital, but for me, like most of my time in hospital was sort of getting on top of my lungs, just making sure everything was all right in that sense. So, I mean, there were other like classes and stuff like occupational therapy where you're just doing a bit more practical skills. But so much of learning what it is like doesn't come in a hospital.
Yeah.
It's sort of small things, just, oh yeah, by the way, this is how I don't know, this is how to talk to people if you want to get a carer seat at a cinema.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like small details.
Yeah, I always equate it to, it's like if you wanted to test a new car for the road, if you take on the racetrack and test it, you're going to know how it steers and how it handles. But when you take on the real world, you know what's going to be like when a pedestrian's crossing the road and when you hit a pothole.
Exactly.
And that's sort of like, when you're in hospital, it's like a racetrack. Yeah, you're sort of learning things, but it's not the real world situation where... Yeah,
it's sort of an artificial atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get back onto the acting stuff that we started on. And so if you sort of go back to where we were and talk about like how you got into the acting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, acting's always been something I've really enjoyed and loved doing. So I did various like school plays at school, like GCSEs and A-levels and stuff. So it'd always been, and like I said, before my injury, I was in year 12. You're sort of at that period of time when you're sort of thinking, what do I want from life? But it's not until year 13 where you actually sort of go about implementing that. So I'd had a look at a few drama schools, and just been thinking, right, I'm going to mull this over and then perhaps go for it next year. Yeah. So, uh, yeah. So then I had my injury, and then I came out of, and I had like 10 months when I wasn't really thinking about anything really, in terms of like pursuing drama as a career or anything like that. I was just sort of concentrating in just getting back to finishing off my A-levels. So when I came out, I sort of came back and was faced with the prospect of finish my A-levels. But luckily, well, not luckily, but one of my A-levels was theatre studies, and yeah, I just sort of it's one of those things where the nature of the course, in order to finish it, you have to do a practical assessment. So there was no like say, all right, George, right, you don't have to do the practical. We'll give you such. No, I'm going to have to do the practical. I'm going to have to be an actor. I'm going to have to be an actor in the wheelchair, just like I would have been an actor walking about and all of that. But it was hard. It was hard, like sort of understanding my body and the sort of things that I could do and how, like strong enough to, and sort of like boring aspects in terms of, right, we're going to make the stage accessible. We're going to have a ramp and that, and all of that. So I just sort of, I remember thinking about, I hadn't really thought about that for the first time. But then someone mentioned it the other day. I was sort of like, oh, so why did you get to acting so quickly? It was just like, well, I had to. That was my A-level.
Yeah.
So like throughout the year, I had been sort of battling with that, but I didn't really think that. I didn't really look too much into going to drama school after that. I'd always sort of thought, right, okay, that I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that at the moment, just because, there was things like, I'm not sure are drama schools, going to be ready to accommodate for me. What are they going to do with the courses, the buildings, etc., etc. So I decided to do philosophy instead, just because I was sort of negotiating a bit of like personal identity issues, like what am I? Am I George? Or whatever. I hadn't really thought about it. I didn't really understand my place as an actor within the industry, because I just don't think I was comfortable within myself at that time. By this time, I'd only been out of hospital for a year and a bit, so it was difficult. So I went to Birmingham to do philosophy. And then I was doing philosophy and just kept on, like, just wanted to get more involved in drama throughout my time there, and so I did various like school guild plays and stuff. Then I just within the space of, I think it was about 8 months of starting the screen acting course in Birmingham, I'd got the audition for sex ed, which was pretty odd, just in terms of how quickly it all turned around. But I think that because the call that went out was for the audition was a actor with a disability. Like that was the character. So they knew they wanted to represent disability on the show, but they just weren't sure where to go with. So they said that they were going to just see who they get, who comes to auditions, who they like, and then they're going to write the role around them. Which is awesome for them for putting that investment into portraying something authentically, because that's probably the most there's nothing worse than sort of representation. It's just the most half-hearted, uncreative character. We were saying at the beginning, just sort of like having this, it's a person with a disability. That's the only aspect of them.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that they wrote the character. The character, all these aspects, that he was a bit of a rascal, a bit of a troublemaker and stuff. And then afterwards came the disabled aspects of it, and sort of like the boring bits of how he gets around, because that's effectively all it is. Yeah. Is that the wheelchair is simply a means of transport, really.
Yeah, it's really good that they took that approach, because you can see it so often in media, whether that be television, in movies, that they feels like shoehorned in for the sake of it. But it feels, because I watched the show. I watched the show. I wasn't going to watch it initially, but my girlfriend met your mum on a backup course for mentorship, and she was telling Alice all about that. And so she was like, "Oh, we should watch the show." I was like, "Okay, we'll watch the show." And then we checked it out, and then I felt it was really great representation, because I've seen so many things with disability in movies and that, and it was so good to see a character that the disability didn't matter. That wasn't really anything to do with it. It was there, but it had nothing to do with it. And that's so true in our lives. Like, yes, we're disabled, but that's not what defines us as people. It's what our choices and our actions. And it was really great to see that on screen as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such amazing writing. So it's just Laurie Nunn, the creator, is just her writing was just so amazing. The fact that her and the producers all wanted to portray people with disability in that way was, and it's just a bit of an honour to be able to do that.
Yeah, because without spoiling it, I guess, too much, your character's a bit of a dick, isn't he? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, I think he's just, the perspective in the grand scheme of the show. I mean, it's the structure of a show like that. It's always gonna be will they or won't they?
Yeah.
So to be a part of that, and to interrupt it in whatever way he does. It's quite cool. But I mean, it was just funny to. Yeah, it was really enjoyable for me just to play the role of not. Yeah, just a not a. I don't know, because we've all got the typical portrayal of someone with a disability is the lovely, the lovely angel, like, who's this inspiration, who's gone through so much, and they've got, oh wow, what a wonderful inspirational character. What can we learn from this wonderful person? And then just to play, someone who's a bit of a, I mean, he's not terrible. I really like him. I find him. I mean, because the problem is that I find a lot of the and I find a lot of Isaac is just me, which
Sorry.
and I like me.
So I just called you a dick, basically.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm totally at peace with that expression myself. So it's I think because of the writing, it's so even-handed. You can completely understand some of the quite a lot of the things that Isaac does, just because that's his perspective, that's his view on the world. That's been molded by his experiences and his beliefs. So it's just a bit of an honor to play him, to be honest.
Yeah. So talking about his experiences and beliefs, what sort of things did you have any input in the role, and have sort of put in your own thoughts and feelings? Because I was saying to you before we started the show, there was a bit with the stairs when you're getting carried down, and that was for me really relatable. Obviously non-disabled people probably can't relate to it, but then my girlfriend was like, "That's so genuine." Like, even though she's not disabled, she sort of can see that it's a genuine sort of thing. Like, she does know me, obviously, so she has a bit of it.
Yeah.
But like, what sort of like impacted you, and like, what sort of did they come to you and say, "We want your input on this role"?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like I said, they were gonna write around the person that they cast. So they cast me. I had a look at sort of the outline of some of the things they wanted to do, and they just sort of it was quite a collaboration of so what do you think? And I almost joked to them sort of, oh yeah, if Isaac ever needs to go to Otis's house, it's going to be a bit of trouble. So I to be honest, I don't 100% know whether they were already going to do a scene like that or whatever. But I think it's one of those things where they want the story to go in a certain way. They want certain things to happen, but then they just wanted my input of sort of, all right, how can we make that happen that's going to be realistic for you? How and not only that, in terms of the story, it was sort of almost also on set. So how are we going to make like Isaac's Caravan, how are we going to make that not only like look good for the show, but how are we going to construct it so architecturally you can get about all right, George, not only within the show but just generally for shooting and stuff. And yeah, so the entire like production team, which is great.
Yeah, because we were half expecting when you're at the top of the stairs, we were just half expecting to like cut and you're inside.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It was just like, because that's what always happens. Like it'll be like a lawyer on it's a disabled lawyer and they're waiting at the bottom of the steps, and suddenly they're in the courtroom. Like, hang on, where was the disabled access?
Yeah. No.
How did they get up those 50 steps?
Yeah, that was the sort of the benefit we've had. There's a precedent of things in the past where people in wheelchairs aren't portrayed by people with wheelchairs. So they'll have like maybe like one consultant that they'll discuss disability with. So they're quite separated from like the core writing team and stuff. So when you employ someone with an actual disability that they're trying to portray, you've got that direct experience really to hand, so they can just flag something up and just go, well, hang on a sec, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that they gave me the opportunity to be the person sort of, right, that wouldn't work, and not only like hearing me out, but actually going about implementing that.
Yeah.
And not making it just not making it generic in any way, just making it nuanced.
Yeah. It's very good, and I assume you're honoured to be part of it, because it's kind of groundbreaking, really, in terms of the representation. So yeah, it must be a great honour for you to be able to do this.
Yeah, it's incredible to be part of. I mean, it was weird sort of coming into it in the second series, just because it's already an established show, was very popular. But I remember watching it and just thinking, wow, I don't think I've ever seen sort of this level of representation and sort of unapologetically diverse cast before, and the fact that it was going out of its way to show these stories, to portray these people, and it felt almost like, oh well, obviously there's going to be a disabled character, just in terms of the culture that the show had. It just made sense totally. So yeah, then I got it. It's weird.
No, that's totally awesome, man. So I just wanted to round off sort of like the acting side of this, and just any sort of advice you would give to someone, sort of specifically somebody who's disabled, because there's loads of videos out there in terms of people that are actors giving advice to people, and it's like do hard, work hard. But is there any sort of specific advice you'd give to somebody who's in a wheelchair or has a disability of any kind?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what stage you're at in terms of, whether you've been someone in a chair your entire life, so whether you're comfortable with yourself and the wheelchair. I know that I've gone through stages where I'm not really sure what I am as an entity, so to speak. I think if you just want to just put yourself out there, if you feel comfortable to put yourself out there, then that's great. And if you do, then I'm sure that people will just be incredibly, the community itself will be incredibly proud that you've put yourself out there, and the fact that you're going to be representing a group of people that hasn't been represented properly in the past. And the fact that you're going to put yourself out there and do that, and you just know that the whole community is just going to push you forward and be, yes, this is our person. And yeah, just do it, really.
Yes.
If
That's a really good bit of advice, just doing it.
yeah, I'd say just do it. It's always been one of those ones that I always equate it to sort of, when you go, if you go to Disneyland, and I've always found that as soon as I'm in the queue, no matter how terrified I am of the ride, I know I'm gonna be on the ride eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just sort of, yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had quite a easy road into the industry, so it's not necessarily in terms of, it's all happened rather fast for me. So, and not to say that that's going to be the same for everyone, but as long as you just keep on pushing, just keep on expanding yourself in terms of put the work in, put the effort in, and just invest in yourself. And just put yourself out there and just do it.
I like someone just put in the chat on Instagram, is Jill your mum?
Yes,
she
Jill,
said
is my mum.
She said you don't queue.
Oh.
See,
that's true. That's very true. Not anymore.
So I've got a few questions in the chat that I've been writing down. So I'm just going to one I found quite interesting that I want to know is what sort of roles in that would you like to do post sex education? Is there something like you would like to do a certain genre? Are you going to be the next James Bond?
Well, I don't know. Well, it's one of those ones where we'll see. I'm not really I don't want to pigeonhole myself into any particular
of course.
Role. Just in terms of like my career is incredibly it's at this incredibly early stage. But if they want to do a Professor X remake of him being young and sarcastic,
you can borrow my hair for that one.
Yeah, that's I'll do it. I'll get the razor out. But yeah, I think anyway. I think it's more just sort of I want to work with people that inspire me and sort of really want to do their best work in an interesting way and in a cool way. So I'm just sort of at that stage when I really want to work with amazing people, really.
Yeah, that's cool. So a lot of people are asking about stuff about the show, but we'll leave that out. We'll leave that out in terms of some people are having a go at you, some people are loving you.
Is what it is.
It is what it is. But so it's quite cool to see a bad guy who's in a wheelchair. Well, not a bad guy as we said, but it's like, as we said, like the inspiration. that's
Yeah.
what we're always seen as, and it is awesome to see. I'm just going through some more. Somebody asked what is sort of some of the things you like to do outside of acting, like what are your hobbies, or is there anything you love to
Yeah.
do?
So it's still sort of been like linked to acting, but I quite like writing
Okay.
stuff. So I've written a few little bits. Yeah, but I enjoy stuff like, I'm quite a bit of a film nerd as well. Like to the extent that it will be just like someone will mention um, a film that they've seen, and then there's like, George, have you seen such and such? I'll be like, wait, is that the one that's directed by such and such, starring such and such and such and such, like produced by? And they'll be like, yeah.
Oh,
And
I feel like I would enjoy my conversations with you then. I'm that guy, I swear.
yeah, but it's like all of their enthusiasm just suddenly goes just like,
Like, oh, I just wanted to know if you
yeah,
saw the good bit at the end.
yeah, yeah. So it's stuff like that. So I'm a bit of a nerd in terms of that. Yeah, just like socialising with my mates and that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You did some rugby before. Have you done any wheelchair rugby, or is that not really?
I haven't. It's one of those ones where I don't know. It hasn't grabbed me. It hasn't grabbed me. I do feel like it would be a good outlet for me, but I just think at the moment I'm not really. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to have grabbed me in the same way that sport has in the past, and that's purely just a personal thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's always a bit different afterwards. I know.
Yeah.
With my as I said before, I was a professional swimmer pre-injury,
Sure.
and I started to do it again afterwards, and the love wasn't quite the same afterwards. I
Right.
was good enough to I became national champion, but like
Awesome.
that wasn't enough for me. It was like the love of it,
Yeah.
and that fell apart. And it wasn't until after that I sort of got a bit of depression and that, because I didn't have a purpose in life, and then I reignited that passion by going into coaching.
Yeah.
And it was just changing it slightly to make sure the passion was still there in some sort of way.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, it's one of those ones where you just got to sort of shift your mindset and say, because it is to some extent, a lot of the time it says, but it is a life-changing injury, and I think it's sort of, but I wouldn't say it necessarily changes you, it just shifts your perspective somewhat.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can go through a stage where you're, really into something or other, and then all of a sudden you feel like your new perspective doesn't quite match up with the goal that you had previously.
Yeah.
And it's just setting up these new goals.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've adapted really well. Anyway, and relatively quickly as well.
It's an ongoing process.
Of course, yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I can sometimes put up a bit of a bit more of a facade that I'm doing this incredible stuff, where I think I do definitely go through stages where I struggle to sort of improve myself every day.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of natural to some extent, but it's just trying to like be your best and just keep on improving slowly, but embrace the bad days, use them to learn more about yourself. Really
Awesome. So let's move on to sort of talking about the current events at the moment. Obviously, with what's happening, we're at a higher risk at the moment, so we've got to be a bit more careful than other people. I just wanted to know sort of how this is sort of affecting you on your day-to-day life as well, like what things have changed, and what you're doing to sort of cope with it at this time.
Yeah, so one of the reasons that obviously this is probably something similar to yourself, but because I've got reduced lung capacity, so my cough wouldn't be as strong as other people. So for a virus that the symptoms mainly includes lots of coughing and stuff, I might struggle with that. So what I'm sort of doing is self-isolating, not really going out. I'm quite lucky that I'm living at my family's house. It's got a garden, so I can sort of I've got a bit of space to be isolated, but still get some like fresh air and stuff. And then my my whole family's been like social distancing, and when we've needed to go outside, to get some food or whatever, it's always been done in a considerate way, sort of to make sure that all of us stay as healthy as we can. And it's just managing that, and I've been keeping up to date with various things on the streaming platforms and stuff. But yeah, it's just managing. It's just managing the scenario, really.
Yeah, totally. With it as well, because I was talking to somebody yesterday, Jack, on the stream, which you can do a little plug. You can watch that on my YouTube, youtube.com/adaptbefore.
Yeah. Sure.
But on there we were talking about like how we're kind of already mentally prepared for this, having our experiences in hospitals and having, difficulties with things like, getting up in the morning isn't as easy as a regular person, and, getting out and about, the accessibility. So we're kind of used to being a bit more isolated than the regular human. So we're almost trained for it mentally. It's just that we've got to be careful physically, really.
Yeah. It's just one of those stages where people have been, we spent, I don't know how long you spend. How long did you spend in hospital?
7.5 months. So.
Yeah, so exactly. So we spent, several months in hospital doing, nothing other than watching daytime TV. So, of all the time that, all the time spent then has been research for this moment. So Homes Under the Hammer. What was it? King of Queens, I think it was. King of Queens, Frasier, Homes Under the Hammer. Come Die With Me.
I'm annoyed because I applied to go on Bargain Hunt, and I'm annoyed that I'm not going to go on Bargain Hunt now.
No, you can get there. You can get there eventually. Once this all passes over.
I got through, and I was going to go for the audition process, but damn it.
Maybe after. I'll keep your application and
yeah. Let's hope so.
Top of the pile.
Yeah. So we'll finish up now. I'm just going to. I'll go look in the chat in a second to see if there's any more questions. So I wanted to ask some recommendations, because obviously a lot of people are staying at home at the moment. I think I know what your recommendation is going to be, because I normally ask for a Netflix, the other company that we're not going to mention for reasons, and and a book recommendation as well. So what do you recommend on Netflix?
I'd say Education is very good, because I'm in it,
especially season 2.
But exactly. But I've also I've watched the first episode of this game, which is a new one about sort of the creation of football in England. Which is very good. But I've just ended up. I go through stages of just watching stuff that I've watched hundreds of times over, so I really love the thick of it. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Peep Show. It just goes through. Yeah, it just goes through. A rotation of those. But I have just watched. I have just binge watched Westworld.
Oh, okay. I need to get back on
yeah, it's very good. I'm as a philosophy um, guy. I'm very into all of that free will stuff and all of that.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah,
interesting program. It's I like how cerebral they've gone with it, rather than just be like, hey,
yeah,
action stuff.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, there are aspects of like the sort of the Game of Thrones. There's a bit of blood. There's a bit of
Yeah.
this and that. But a lot of time, it's just sort of a lot of conversation. What I've started to do is I've started to actually watch it with the subtitles,
Oh, okay.
and then because sometimes I feel like with when you've got two characters in a room discussing sort of the nature of free will, I can be a bit lazy and just sort of switch off. But if it's if I've got the subtitles on, I can sort of actually pay attention to some of the more philosophical arguments and all
No,
of that.
I totally understand that. We watch a lot with subtitles on as well because you feel like more part of it.
No, exactly, and I think because I've been like to write more recently. It's quite good. It's quite good because you can sort of it's you're closer to the screenplay if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, it just helps break it down a bit more.
No, that's really cool. And do you? As I said, we won't mention the other one just because of. But do you have any book recommendations?
Yeah, I'd say The Big Little Things by Henry Fraser is
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I need to get Henry on this show too. See if
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he's great. He's amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he'd be great for this also. Yeah. I've not actually checked out his book yet, but yeah, I need to definitely get on that at some point.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. It's really insightful, really inspiring.
Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'm just going to have a look at any more questions. You are getting a lot of love from all around the world, so you are Mr. Worldwide.
Well, I guess.
Someone said about your writing. Would you want to pursue a career in writing as well as your acting?
I think perhaps it'll just be one of those ones where if I can, it's one of those ones where I just need to keep writing and then if anything sticks to the wall, we'll see. But I think it's at the moment it's just a bit of a creative outlet. So we'll see if anything comes from it.
Yeah. Somebody's asked, what philosopher do you like? So is there anything that particularly sticks out to you, or any sort of philosophy thinking?
I don't know. I quite like Immanuel Kant, just because he's very straightforward. You can understand, what he's sort of straightforward. He's sort of I don't know. He's just authoritarian, and you know exactly what he's going to think before. It's not wishy-washy.
A bit like Isaac, I guess.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's not wishy-washy at all.
No.
I'm just going to go through it. A few more things, but if you have any more questions, let us know. We're sort of start to wrap up now, the last sort of 5-10 minutes. So if you have any more questions, get them in. Is there anything you want to plug? Might as well get that in now. Just to watch the show.
Yeah. So I mean, I did a podcast with the lovely Craig Parkinson on the Two Shot podcast. If you want to listen to that, which is great interview. He's actually in that show, The English Game. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I definitely need to go and check that out because I was trying to do as much research on you before I came in as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to check that out. I didn't have quite enough time to do that. So somebody asked, was Sex Education your acting debut, which we sort of went over. So
yeah. Well, I mean, professionally, I mean, I've done Yeah, the school plays and Fontaine in Greece and stuff.
Nice. And a lot of people are asking about season 3, which we're not going to talk about because.
Well, I don't know anything, mate.
And the other reason I didn't want to spoil it, so I don't want to
That's
talk about it even if it was out and I hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah.
All right, so you still get a lot of love in the chat. Lots of people giving you lots of hearts and thumbs up, all from around the world.
Oh,
so
that's
yeah,
lovely.
It looks like you've got good fans. You've made quite the impact, I think, on some people's lives. Even it more than you might even realise. There could be the next you out there somewhere.
Well, hopefully I can, as long as they don't leak my roles. That's fine. No, it'll be. I mean, it's just just if I can inspire anyone to pick up acting, then I mean that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you ever need a wheelchair mate, come on the show. You just you know it's cool.
Yeah. We'll get hundreds of us just.
The whole spinal unit will come.
No, exactly. Can't wait for that.
All right. So there's not really any more questions coming in. So yeah, we'll start to wrap that up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been really, really awesome, and yeah, it's been really great talking to you. This is the first time we talked. Well, today was the first time we talked, pretty much. So yeah, it was pretty much going from, hey, do you want to come on the show, to yes straight away, and then a couple of hours later on it. So yeah, it's been really great talking to you. That's how I like to do things. Just bash it out straight away. Get it done. And then so it's been really great talking to you. If you don't know who George is, then what are you doing? Go and watch Sex Education. Go see his Instagram. For those watching on YouTube, I'll post it down below. And for those watching on Instagram Live, you can find it afterwards by just clicking on his profile. And if you want to know more about me and what I do, I am a quadriplegic like George. And I do lots of fitness-based stuff. So mine's all about inspiring people through fitness and through mental health. So if you want to know more about that, go and check me out. I am Adapt to Perform absolutely everywhere, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Just type in Adapt to Perform and you'll find it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. George, you hang on the line for a minute longer. I'll talk to you afterwards. We'll say goodbye to everyone now. See ya.
All right.
Second.